Welcome. First tonight, Ryan Wesley Ruth, the man accused of attempting to assassinate Donald Trump over the weekend at his Florida golf club, was charged with two gun-related counts in federal court. Ruth, aged 58, stood before Magistrate Judge Ryan M. McCabe at the federal courthouse in West Palm Beach, shackled and wearing a dark prison uniform, where he was charged with possession of a firearm while a convicted felon and possession of a firearm while an obliterated serial number. Meanwhile, the FBI says Donald Trump is safe. The latest attempt to assassinate Trump was only uncovered when a Secret Service agent spotted a gun barrel sticking out of a fence where he was enjoying a round. The FBI says Trump was 300 to 500 yards away at the time. A witness reported seeing the suspect, Ryan Ruth, emerging from some bushes and jumping into a black Nissan car after the agents had fired at him a number of times. The FBI says Trump was the target of what appears to be an attempted assassination.
The FBI has assumed the role as the lead federal law enforcement agency in the investigation of the incident that occurred earlier today at Trump International Golf Course here in West Palm Beach, Florida. We've deployed a number of resources, including investigative teams, crisis response team members, bomb technicians, and evidence response team members as well. What we need right now is for the public to avoid the area around the golf course. We will continue to support this investigation with the full resources of the FBI, alongside our partners with the United States Secret Service and the Palm Beach Sheriff's Office, as well as Martin County Sheriff's Office and state and local law enforcement.
I'm here because our prosecutors are currently working up warrants and a motion for pretrial detention for the suspect. In that way, he will be kept in custody. But our filing of these warrants and charges at the state level does not preclude federal charges that could be coming. But in the meantime, it looks like the warrants and the pretrial detention motion will happen first.
Probably between 300 and 500 yards, but with a rifle and a scope like that, that's not a long distance. Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery, so when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right, and at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. But because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter. But the Secret Service did exactly what they should have done. They provided exactly what the protection should have been, and their agent did a fantastic job. The layout of the golf course, you've got 3 holes, 5, 6, and 7. All right, one of them runs parallel to Summit Boulevard. One of them runs parallel to Congress, and he was in an area in the shrubbery where he could see both holes. So the president was another hole back, which means he's about between 400 and 500 yards away.
So he was on the golf course?
Oh, he's on the golf course, yeah.
Meanwhile, President Joe Biden says Secret Service needs more help. He's calling on the Congress to provide more resources to the agency.
Thank God the president's okay. I think we got a full report so far. We're down there tonight. But one thing I want to make clear, the service needs more help. And I think the Congress should respond to their needs if they in fact need more services. So that's what we're going to be talking about.
Are you concerned more money or they need more personnel? They need more money? What kind of help do you say?
I think we need some more personnel. I think they may deciding whether they need more personnel or not.
Well, UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has said he was deeply worried and troubled about the news of the second apparent assassination attempt on former US President Donald Trump. He was speaking during a visit to an Italian government center for the monitoring of migrant arrivals on Monday.
Very worried by the news about this attempt. Looks like an assassination attempt. Very, very worried about it. Obviously, there's now an investigation going on, so I won't say much more about the details. But I think it is really important that we're all very, very clear that violence has no part to play at all in any political process. So deeply troubled, let the investigation take its place, but absolute clarity. Violence, no place in political discussion at all, anywhere.
Well, for more on this, let's now turn to U.S. Republican strategist Greg Swenson, who has been monitoring this development from London. Good to see you, Greg. And let's just get right into it. Let me just have your take on who Ryan Wesley Ruth is, the suspect in Trump's assassination attempt. This is the second time this is happening. Who is this? Who is the suspect? What do we know about him?
Well, Georgina, it's a great question. I don't think we have a lot of answers right now. It's clear that he had a criminal record. He had a couple of, many traffic violations and other minor things, but also a particularly troubling one where he barricaded himself into his business with a machine gun and wouldn't surrender to police right away. So, obviously a troubled person, but it's still early. And so, I don't want to comment too much on his personal background because it's still early on. But I think it's just unsettling that we've had 2 assassination attempts on President Trump. It's not a good sign for the rhetoric that's going on in the U.S. election, as well as the sort of shortfalls of the Secret Service. Even though there are so many brave men and women working in the Secret Service, there's obviously flaws in the preparation and any kind of early stage organization for events like the rally in Butler, Pennsylvania in July, obviously, but even for something simple like the president playing golf on a Sunday.
Yes, indeed. And one of course, could get a little bit worried about this happening this frequently. But how satisfied are you with the response of the Secret Service to these incidents? Were they effective enough to ensure that they prevented any harm coming to Trump?
Yeah, there's surely a problem at the Secret Service. We saw that in July, and the head of the Secret Service ended up resigning a week or so later when she wouldn't actually answer questions and she wasn't very forthcoming and was trying to basically cover up the problems at the at Butler at this rally that enabled a 20-year-old assailant to climb up on a roof when that just never should happen. And I think even yesterday at the golf course, you can argue that that President Trump right now doesn't have presidential level Secret Service protection. So in your clip, you mentioned they had President Biden saying they need more resources. Well, that's kind of stating the obvious. I think with a $6 trillion budget of the U.S. government, the U.S. federal bureaucracy, they could find some money somewhere to support the Secret Service. But it might not just be money. It might just be that their organization has some dysfunction. This is not new. It's been going on for 15 years. There were problems in the Obama administration with protection on President Obama. But this is shocking that, 2 assassination attempts in 2 months, there's obviously something wrong. And the fact that no other candidate has had any trouble in the last 15, 20 years, with this should be alarming that President Trump has had some sort of assassination attempt twice, and who knows what's going to happen in the next 8 weeks.
Are you worried that political violence is now becoming a norm in the U.S., seen ahead of the elections? And I mean, it's something that one should really take a look into. What's your take?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great point, Georgina. And I think that the one of the concerns here is that it's specifically on President Trump. It's not that the candidates in general have experienced any of this violence or attempts at violence. So, this is worrisome that the rhetoric has been so elevated, referring to President Trump or calling him a dictator, comparing him to Hitler, saying it's the end of democracy. That's the kind of rhetoric that elevates these people that have obvious, mental health issues to pick up a gun and try to shoot the presidential candidate. So this should be very worrisome. I hope it's not just ignored by the media in the U.S. and who are obsessed with having Kamala Harris win the election. Rather, they should talk about, try to be investigative journalists and find out what's going on. Is this just the Secret Service and some mismanagement, or is there something deeper than that?
Well, if you have any idea of how the Trump himself and his campaign has been able to respond to the incident, and if there are any measures they're taking to ensure his safety, you could share with us, please.
Yes, I mean, obviously, after July, they elevated the security presence around him, and they tried their best to protect the president. But he's still not at presidential level Secret Service protection, and that's something that President Biden should do immediately. Elevate President Trump. Right now, he's being treated as a candidate or as a former president, which there's a certain degree of protection there, and that's a good thing. But he's not getting the presidential level protection. And this is coming from President Biden, who denied Secret Service detail for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. until July, because in spite of his name being a Kennedy and the son of a senator who was assassinated in 1968 and the nephew of his uncle that was assassinated in 1963, you would think that President Biden would be proactive and allow Secret Service protection for RFK Jr. He asked for it consistently and was denied when most other candidates at that stage in the election cycle would have been provided protection. And I think President Trump could make the same argument right now, that he should be afforded elevated protection from the Secret Service. I hope that happens in the next few days.
All right, now the suspect has been charged with 2 gun-related crimes during an appearance at a federal courthouse in West Palm Beach. What happens next after this?
Yeah, I mean, he'll go through the normal process. I would hope, if anything, it's at the state level, because I think that the state of Florida can handle this better at a local level. Once the federal bureaucracy is involved, I'm concerned that will be, that many are very suspicious of the FBI and the Secret Service for what happened in July. And now you have another incident. I think having an outside or more local investigation would be better, but that's just my view. And I think that if you look at, what the FBI has done in the last 8 years, they colluded with the social media companies to censor information about the Biden family in October and November of 2020. The 51 former intelligence officials, many of which were FBI. So there's not a lot of trust in the federal bureaucracy right now. So I think for the sake of transparency, it would be much wiser to allow the Florida officials at a local level to handle this.
Thank you very much, Greg Swenson. Really appreciate your insights. Thank you.